A woman sits in the lavish comfort of a $40 million mansion, her surroundings exuding wealth, power, and prestige. The lighting is nothing short of perfect, soft, golden, and warm, casting a radiant glow on her flawless skin, making her look almost otherworldly. She sits there, seemingly vulnerable, yet maintaining an almost ethereal composure. There are tears on her face, but they don't seem to ruin her makeup. In fact, she almost looks more beautiful as she cries, a delicate balance of emotion and perfection. This is the kind of crying that feels rehearsed, yet genuine, the kind that remains poised, effortlessly curated for the cameras. She speaks about her latest breakup with the rawness of someone who has been through it all, but there's a strange calmness to her voice. The cameras are rolling. Every word, every tear, every vulnerable moment is captured. This heartbreak, so real yet so carefully crafted, will air on television in 6 months. It will go viral. It will be dissected by millions. It will sell products. Meanwhile, her sister, with a serene yet indifferent expression, undergoes a cosmetic treatment. It's not the first time she's had work done, and it won't be the last. But this time, she's casually chatting about what she's having for dinner later, as though it's just another part of her day. Around them, private jets are lined up like taxis, ready to take them to yet another glamorous destination, their every move orchestrated for the public eye. Elsewhere, a teenager scrolls through social media on her phone. She pauses at a photo, staring at the seemingly flawless image on the screen. She looks up at her own reflection in the mirror and wonders, why don't I look like that? She doesn't see what they see, and it becomes a question that gnaws at her every time she picks up her phone. These women didn't just become famous. They didn't just happen to find their way into our homes. They didn't simply fall into a life of luxury and attention. No, they fundamentally redefined the very concept of normal. The Kardashian-Jenner family didn't invent cosmetic enhancements, messy relationships, or the idea of working tirelessly 24/7 in the pursuit of personal success. They didn't begin the trend of buying more than we need or the culture of flaunting material wealth. But what they did was something far more subtle and in many ways more powerful. Over the course of nearly 2 decades, they took what society once shamed, insecurities, personal struggles, emotional scars, and brought them into the open. They didn't just expose these private battles, they polished them, packaged them, and transformed them into a brand. They made flaws seem desirable, even aspirational. They didn't just show us their lives, they made us want to live like them. Somewhere along the way, millions of people stopped merely watching. They stopped being passive consumers of content. They started copying. They started emulating the looks, the lifestyles, the relationships, the beauty standards, and even the struggles. They weren't just spectators, they became participants. This story isn't about vilifying or demonizing a family. It's about understanding the power of influence, how it works, how it seeps into our daily lives, how it subtly changes the way we think and act. It's about recognizing how deeply ingrained habits, ideas, and behaviors can evolve into something that feels normal, even necessary, when they've been repeated enough times. The Kardashians didn't just make a reality TV show. They created a movement that reshaped beauty standards, redefined our understanding of relationships, and altered the way we approach work, success, and self-worth. Through their lens, the very definition of normal was stretched and molded until it was something completely new, something that felt so familiar we didn't even question it. By the time we reach the end of this story, you'll see fame in an entirely new light. You'll look at yourself differently too, because what the Kardashians did was more than just show us their lives. They didn't just hold up a mirror to the world, they rewrote the very reflection we see when we look into it. They didn't just change themselves, they changed all of us. And in doing so, they altered the world we now live in. Let's rewind the clock to October 14, 2007. The premiere of Keeping Up with the Kardashians airs on TV. Critics were quick to dismiss it, labeling it a mess that was bound to fail. But viewers couldn't tear their eyes away. It was something new, something raw. A family, chaotic and glamorous, invited the world to see their lives. No secrets, no filters. Fights at dinner tables, real-time breakups, business negotiations, the recovery from cosmetic surgeries. Everything was out in the open for the world to witness. It wasn't just another reality show. It was a spectacle, a reflection of real life in its messiest form, and people were drawn to it. Before the Kardashians, reality TV had an unspoken set of rules. Viewers watched as passive observers, never fully immersed in the lives of the people on screen. Older reality shows often created fabricated scenarios, choreographed situations meant to evoke specific reactions. But the Kardashians changed the game. They didn't create situations. They didn't fake drama. They lived their drama, and it became our drama, too. They blurred the lines between acting and real life until it was impossible to tell where one ended and the other began. Their lives were the show, and there was no off button. The shift was monumental, because when cameras are always rolling, when you know you're being watched all the time, the way people behave changes. The moments that last aren't always the most authentic. They're the moments that people want to watch. The moments that go viral, that sell. The Kardashians didn't just give us a window into their world, they gave us a mirror. And once we were staring into it, we couldn't look away. In 2010, Instagram was born. By 2012, the Kardashians had crossed over from the realm of TV to the new world of social media. Their lives became a constant, uninterrupted stream of content. Photos edited to perfection, highly curated images, advertisements for everything from makeup to fashion to fragrances. It was all blended seamlessly into their personal social media accounts. The lines between their TV show and their Instagram feed were blurry at best. There was no distinction. There was only the show, and the show never ended. And this is where things start to get complicated. Viewers no longer just watched the Kardashians. They became part of the show. They started imitating what they saw. They began to emulate their looks, their behavior, their words. Makeup trends exploded. Lip fillers became a common request. Slang words they coined slipped into everyday language. The Kardashians didn't just show us a lifestyle, they made us believe it was possible to have that lifestyle. You can be this way too, they said. Just buy this product, try this look, post this way. But here's the question we should have asked all along. When everything becomes content, when every moment in your life is turned into cash, when your happiest and saddest moments are both just stories to be told, what is real? What happens to us when we no longer see a distinction between what's authentic and what's staged? What happens when we stop questioning the boundaries between the two? Kylie Jenner was just 17 when the world began to notice a change in her lips. At first it was subtle, but then it became impossible to ignore. The internet went wild. Memes, comments, and obsessions followed. She initially denied it, saying it was just makeup. But in 2015, she came clean. She had lip injections. She explained how she'd always felt insecure about her lips and that she had been teased in school. Her revelation was framed as an empowering moment. It was portrayed as her taking control, fixing something that had bothered her for years. But let's dig deeper. A teenager growing up on national television, surrounded by sisters who set near-impossible beauty standards, decided to surgically change her face. She then built a billion-dollar empire selling lip kits to other girls who wanted to emulate the version of Kylie that could only exist after seeing a doctor. The Kardashians didn't invent the concept of cosmetic enhancements, but they did something much more impactful. They made it mainstream. They took something once considered taboo and turned it into something casual, normal, even aspirational. Kim Kardashian has openly discussed her skin treatments while denying the bigger surgeries that photos often suggest she's had. Khlai's face has evolved significantly over the years, and she has both been praised and criticized for it. But the message remains the same. Do what makes you feel confident, do what makes you happy. The problem is that when loving yourself requires extensive work on your appearance, doctor visits, surgeries, and expensive treatments, it's not about loving who you are. It's about conforming to an ideal that's unattainable without outside help. An ideal that the Kardashians themselves helped to create. The Kardashians didn't just impact how we view beauty, they created an entirely new definition of what beauty is. In a world where natural beauty once seemed like the gold standard, the Kardashians flipped the script. They made enhancements, artificial constructs of beauty, desirable, normal, even celebrated. They shifted the paradigm by introducing a beauty ideal that could be sculpted, one that didn't just exist, but had to be manufactured. Beauty no longer had to be a gift from genetics. It could be achieved through money, effort, and access to the right resources. It was no longer about being born with good features. It was about perfecting them. And through this, they normalized the idea that beauty could be bought. What was once considered taboo or desperate, plastic surgery, lip fillers, Botox, facelifts, became something that was not only accepted but revered. It wasn't just about maintaining youth. It was about chasing an idealized version of yourself, one that had been perfected and enhanced until it bore little resemblance to the organic reality of your natural body. The Kardashians capitalized on this, turning it into a massive business opportunity. With each photo, each viral moment, each new product line, they sold not just beauty products, but the idea of beauty, something you could achieve with a credit card, a doctor's appointment, and the right amount of time and money. Yet there was something insidious about the way they did it. While the Kardashians were transparent about their procedures, there was always the implied narrative that these enhancements were done for the sake of personal empowerment, self-love, and confidence. But what happens when the very thing that's marketed as self-love requires changing yourself to fit an ideal that's so far removed from reality? Is it really about loving yourself when you feel like your inherent self isn't enough? What happens when self-love is tied to external approval? When it becomes a quest for perfection that's unreachable without altering your physical appearance? This isn't just about vanity. It's about a culture that commodifies identity, that turns self-expression into a marketable product. The Kardashians may have started as individuals looking for attention, but over time, they became symbols of a larger societal trend. A trend that tells us that we aren't enough unless we are constantly enhancing, perfecting, curating, and editing every aspect of our lives. And the worst part is, it's all done in the name of authenticity. The Kardashians promised us something that felt achievable, the perfect, glossy life that we could all have if we just followed their lead. But what they never told us was that this perfection was a carefully crafted illusion, an illusion supported by entire teams of doctors, stylists, photographers, and editors, all working behind the scenes to present a real image. The picture-perfect lives they showcased were anything but authentic. They were meticulously constructed. In many ways, the Kardashians are the ultimate product of social media's rise. Instagram, the platform that changed the way we interact with content, gave them the tools they needed to take their brand to new heights. By 2012, the Kardashians weren't just on TV, they were in your pocket, right alongside your friends, your family, your coworkers. The once elite status of celebrity was no longer reserved for the likes of movie stars or musicians. Thanks to platforms like Instagram, anyone with enough charisma and influence could create a brand, a following, and a media empire. The Kardashians were the first to fully capitalize on this shift. They didn't just passively live their lives, they shaped them into something designed to be consumed. Their influence wasn't just passive, it was active, shaping the trends and behaviors of millions. Every post was a calculated move. Each new look, each photo was part of the grand scheme to create an image of perfection. A carefully crafted persona that wasn't just about being famous, it was about staying famous. And this persona wasn't just a personal expression, it became a business model. They sold us not only their products, but their lifestyles, their aesthetics, and even their pain. Every emotional moment, every heartache was marketed to the masses as part of the story they were telling. One that never truly ended, never took a break, always moving forward, always feeding the machine of consumption. But the most dangerous part of their social media empire isn't just the way they sell us an unattainable ideal of beauty and perfection. It's the way they've made that ideal feel normal. What was once seen as an extravagant pursuit of superficial goals has now become something everyone feels they need to strive for. With every post, every story, every behind-the-scenes moment, the Kardashians taught us to believe that this perfect, edited, curated life is the norm. This isn't just a show. It's a reflection of how we should live, look, and act. And once the line between reality and performance is so blurred, what happens to us when we look in the mirror? Do we see ourselves, or do we see what we've been conditioned to believe we should be? And this is where the true impact of the Kardashians becomes evident. They've reshaped not only what we think is beautiful, but how we see ourselves. The pressure to conform to these beauty standards has escalated beyond the superficial. It's seeped into our psyches, influencing everything from how we approach our self-worth to how we engage with the world around us. While the Kardashians can afford the best doctors, the best makeup artists, the best lighting, and even the best editors to make their lives appear flawless, the millions of people who emulate them cannot. They can't afford the surgeries, the treatments, or the professional photographers to help them craft the same idealized version of themselves. But they still try, sometimes to the point of debt, self-harm, and broken self-esteem. Social media has become a platform for comparing, for ranking, for showcasing only the most curated versions of our lives. Young people in particular feel the weight of this, striving to reach the unattainable ideal that is perpetuated by the Kardashians and influencers like them. What's worse, they see it not as something fake, but as something real, something they can and should attain. The problem is, this vision of perfection isn't real. It's built on a foundation of filters, editing, and in many cases, surgical intervention. But no one talks about the cracks beneath the surface. The exhaustion, the emotional toll, the fact that despite all the wealth, fame, and luxury, they're still constantly chasing something that will never be enough. As the Kardashian empire grew, so too did their influence on global culture. Social media wasn't just a tool for self-expression. It became a marketplace where personal branding became as important as the products themselves. Suddenly, success wasn't about hard work or creativity. It was about how well you could craft your image. And now, a generation is growing up with the belief that their worth is intrinsically tied to their ability to present a perfect version of themselves to the world. The ripple effects are evident in the staggering rise of cosmetic procedures, the increasing prevalence of mental health struggles, and the social pressure to conform to an ideal that is both unrealistic and damaging. Lip fillers, nose jobs, Botox, and other cosmetic enhancements have become normalized among young women, many of whom feel they need these procedures to keep up with the image the Kardashians have set. Body dysmorphia and self-esteem issues have surged in direct correlation with the explosion of social media influencers and the Kardashians' impact. What started as a desire for beauty has turned into an obsession with perfection, and it's not just about how we look anymore. It's about how we're seen. By now, we've been conditioned to believe that success, beauty, and happiness are all tied to external validation. The Kardashians helped build this culture, but they didn't just shape it. They helped make it the norm. They've turned what was once seen as extravagant into something that feels like an essential part of modern life. But the true question we need to ask ourselves is, what happens when we stop seeing the cracks in the facade? What happens when the pursuit of perfection becomes a race we can never win? The Kardashians didn't just change themselves, they changed all of us. And now we must ask, what is the cost of this change? And more importantly, are we prepared to live with the consequences? The Kardashians didn't just change the definition of beauty, they reshaped the very framework of self-worth. Before them, beauty was seen as something that happened by chance, something that you either had or didn't. But through their influence, beauty became a product, something that could be purchased, altered, and manufactured. What once seemed like a rare, natural gift became something accessible to anyone with enough money and resources. The Kardashians didn't just redefine beauty, they turned it into a business model, one that was designed to be aspirational yet unattainable for the majority. While some may argue that the Kardashians simply represent the world we already lived in, where beauty has always been a form of capital, they've done something uniquely powerful. They've taken what was once considered excessive, vain, or unrealistic, and made it feel normal. Their ability to redefine what beauty looks like is so pervasive that the world now perceives these ideals as natural. We see these images so often, so consistently, that we've come to believe that these edited, filtered, and sculpted faces are what everyone should look like. This is not just a matter of appearance, it's a complete overhaul of how we understand identity and self-worth. But there's a darker side to all of this. The pressure to conform to the Kardashian model of beauty has far-reaching effects on mental health, particularly among young women. Studies have shown that a growing number of young girls are suffering from body dysmorphia, eating disorders, and extreme insecurity as a result of constantly comparing themselves to the hyper-glamorized versions of reality presented on social media. The Kardashian family's influence has not only shaped beauty standards, it has deepened the cultural obsession with perfection. This obsession, amplified by social media and the constant exposure to digitally enhanced images, has created a world where young girls grow up with unrealistic expectations of themselves. The more they look at perfectly curated photos of the Kardashians, the more they begin to internalize the idea that beauty is something that must be achieved through artifice. If you don't look like them, if you don't have the same body, the same smooth skin, the same sculpted lips, the same straight nose, you are somehow lacking. This is the kind of thinking that leads to self-loathing, an unhealthy relationship with one's own image, and the normalization of cosmetic procedures as a solution to feeling inadequate. The reality, of course, is that the Kardashians themselves are not immune to these pressures. Despite their immense wealth and resources, they too struggle with the same insecurities they perpetuate. They've built careers on projecting perfection, but behind the scenes, they are still constantly altering their appearance to fit the standards they've helped to establish. Kim Kardashian may claim that she's only had minimal work done, but the before and after images, the shifting shapes of her body, and the photos that are obviously edited say otherwise. Khloe Kardashian, once seen as the underdog of the family, has also undergone a drastic transformation over the years, yet she often remains vocal about her struggles with self-image. The issue here isn't just their own insecurities, it's the message they're sending to the millions of young girls who follow their every move. They are telling them that perfection is achievable if only you can pay for it, if only you can get access to the right resources. They make it look effortless, but the truth is, nothing about this lifestyle is natural. It's a curated world of privilege and manufactured beauty that the majority of people can never afford to attain. And in doing so, they've made it seem like a personal failure if you can't live up to this artificial standard. One of the most insidious aspects of the Kardashian influence is how it commodifies not just beauty, but identity itself. In today's world, our identity is no longer simply about who we are, it's about what we present to the world. Social media has turned identity into a brand, and the Kardashians were among the first to fully capitalize on this concept. Everything about their lives, every photo, every relationship, every moment of vulnerability is packaged and sold as a product. They turned their personal brand into a global empire by marketing their every thought, feeling, and experience. The Kardashians have perfected the art of using their personal lives to sell products. Every breakup, every makeover, every moment of emotional pain becomes part of the larger narrative that fuels their brand. They don't just sell makeup, fashion, or skincare. They sell a lifestyle of perfection, youth, and success. Their lives are a constant performance, one that is carefully managed and curated, with every detail being meticulously planned to ensure maximum engagement from their audience. The personal and the professional have become indistinguishable. This phenomenon has blurred the lines for millions of young people who now see their lives through the lens of branding. They've been taught that their worth is tied to how much of themselves they can market. The Kardashians, in many ways, helped build a world where everyone is expected to commodify their identity, where it's not enough to just exist. You must create an image of yourself that others will want to consume. This is a dangerous precedent to set, especially for young people who are still figuring out who they are and how they want to be seen in the world. What the Kardashians have done is created a self-perpetuating cycle. They make perfection seem possible, they sell that idea to the world, and then they profit from the pursuit of that perfection. Every product, every endorsement, every piece of content they create feeds into this cycle. The more they present themselves as flawless, the more people feel compelled to buy into their narrative, literally and figuratively. And as the cycle continues, the definition of beauty becomes more unattainable, the pressure to conform becomes more intense, and the market for cosmetic enhancements, dieting products, and fashion brands keeps expanding. At the heart of this cycle lies an uncomfortable truth. Perfection isn't real. It's not achievable for the vast majority of people. Even the Kardashians, with their endless resources, can't maintain their curated image without constant help. The beauty they present is not something that can be reproduced naturally. It's a carefully crafted illusion. It's not just fake, it's impossible. But they continue to push it because it makes money. The endless chase for beauty, for success, for perfection, creates an economy that thrives on self-doubt, insecurity, and the belief that you are the problem if you can't measure up. But here's the real question. What happens when we realize that the goalposts are constantly moving? What happens when we accept that the idea of perfection there? E-selling was never attainable to begin with. The answer is simple. We keep buying it. Because as long as we believe that perfection is just one more product away, we'll keep consuming it. And in doing so, we'll continue the cycle of dissatisfaction, never reaching the goal we've been promised, but always chasing after it. The Kardashian empire has expanded far beyond the confines of television. They've infiltrated nearly every aspect of our lives. From the rise of Instagram influencers to the growing emphasis on social media as a form of self-validation, the Kardashian influence has become ubiquitous. They are no longer just a family. They are the blueprint for modern celebrity and influencer culture. This has led to a cultural shift where social media isn't just a platform for self-expression, it's become a marketplace. People are constantly trying to monetize their identity, and the Kardashians showed them how. The problem is that this marketplace is built on insecurities. The more we believe that our worth is tied to our ability to present a perfect image, the more we buy into this illusion. But the cost of this pursuit is high. It's not just financial, it's emotional, it's mental. It's the toll it takes on our well-being, on our self-worth, and on our relationships. By continuing to push these ideals of perfection and unattainable beauty, the Kardashians have shaped an entire generation's understanding of success, beauty, and self-worth. And while they may continue to profit from it, the question remains, what does it cost us to keep chasing that illusion? As we continue to follow the path they've laid out for us, we must ask ourselves, What are we sacrificing to achieve the perfect version of ourselves?